everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Tea with Dina. Before I get into everything I want to talk about today, I'm going to read my weekly Yogi Tea reading. Today says, "Let us be kind and compassionate to remove the sadness of the world." I felt that one couldn't be more strong with what is going on in our world today. Sadly, this is going to be my last show, my last weekly tea. I have learned so much while I've been here this summer. I actually wrote down a bunch of things that I wanted to talk about, even if someone needs a little advice for if they have the same major or same idea for what they want as a career. This is the things that I've learned, the advice that I have, and pretty much my whole work experience I've had this summer. So pretty much what I learned is my number one thing that I learned at the Brooklyn Cafe show is how to keep an interview going. When I was on campus, back in Franklin Pierce University in New Hampshire, I just did the news. We were pretty much just anchors. We'd read off a teleprompter, and that was it. We just had to read it, we'd cut it, and then we'd post it later on. It was never live. I've never done a live show before until I came to this internship. And when you're having an interview, I learned how to make your guest comfortable, because a lot of journalists or any interviewers pretty much like to stick in questions that will make their interviewer uncomfortable or make them have to answer something they don't want. But personally, what I learned, something Dawn actually told me I should do, is to call them or talk to them before you do the interview. Go over the questions. Is there anything they want to talk about since you're asking them about their business? So pretty much how to keep an interview going. If they get all caught off guard and don't know what to say in a moment, you know how to pick it up. You have to have those questions written down. If it doesn't, let's say she goes off into a different idea and then all the questions you have lined up doesn't match with what she wants to go on. You have to have those backup questions. And just to be well-rounded and know a lot about the person and their business or whatever you're interviewing about is especially important. And also the importance of every job. Everyone thinks when you're on camera, that's all you have to worry about. Well, there's so much more that goes into it. There's Slick right now behind the camera. He's adjusting and working, making sure the audio is right, making sure everyone can hear me, making sure that their lower thirds are coming up, and let's say I have a guest and they're doing it virtual. He has to make sure I can hear them if they're talking. They're not in here. I need to make sure I can hear them. There's just so many things. And Teddy, she's constantly running the board for the Brooklyn Cafe show every single day. Valerie is doing the elements. Vinny is doing the camera work. We have lighting. We have guests. We have music. There's so many jobs that go into it, and there's not one job that's more important than the other. And that's something I especially learned working here. Being in front of the camera doesn't make you more important than what's going on behind the camera. Because if the things going on behind the camera isn't working well, then I'm going to not look so good and I'm not going to make a lot of sense. And the whole feng shui of what people is watching and what their eyes are gravitating to isn't going to make as much sense. So every job is important when it comes to the smallest thing as lighting to being on camera. It's all equally as important. And it's important to be well-rounded, especially when I go into my future career. I need to know every little aspect. It makes you look better that you know what's going on and what you're doing. Another thing that I felt was very important is to have the facts. While I've been doing the show, I've had multiple controversial topics, mostly because I started this job in the midst of COVID-19, during the pandemic, during quarantine, and also in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement. So I wanted to take this platform while I had it and talk about the things that are happening in our world. I don't want to use the word lucky, but I had the opportunity to have a platform during this time. So if you have a platform, if you have a voice during a time like this, use it and talk about the things that no one else wants to talk about, because that makes you stick out and it makes people want to listen. So one of my big things is to have all the facts. You get nervous, you're sitting here, you start rambling, and then you start making up things. That is you can't do that. That's my one advice. If you don't know what you're going to say, just stop, take a moment, and just move on to the next topic. That's what I think is important. And another big thing is the confidence. I became more confident doing this by having the people that I know and got close to behind the camera. I think that's the biggest thing. If I was in here alone and there was just a robot moving it around, I'd probably be more nervous, because it's nice to have another body behind you and know that like they have your back. Like they'll turn the cameras off right away if you need it, you know? So I think it's definitely important to be close connection with the people you work with. I 100% have learned something from every single intern, from Slick to Vinny to Teddy to Valerie to Mia to Dawn and Freddie to everyone. I have learned something different in these short months of the summer that I've been here. And then another big thing that I had to learn the hard way is to be open to feedback. I would, every single time I did an episode, I'd go post it out to Facebook, and I wanted people to say something about it, but it's good to hear the things you do wrong. A lot of things that I heard is I move my hands too much when I talk, and that's kind of like a nervous thing, but also maybe it's to grab attention. That's the way I like to think of it, but that's one of the bad feedbacks that I've got, and I've gotten good feedback as well, but all feedback, just take it. Like, no matter what anyone's going to say, even if they say you suck, even if they say you don't really know what you're doing, at least you're trying. At least you're sitting here in front of the camera doing something about it, talking about something important. It doesn't matter how much you move your hands or you stutter or you say the wrong word and you have to start over. I feel like that's not what the most important thing is. It's what you have to say, and it's what you bring to the table. And it's also the people that are watching too. So any type of feedback that people give you, if you're in this career or any type of career, just take it, just accept it and move on from it. And then also this internship specifically showed or proved to me what I want as a career. I always knew I wanted to be a journalist. I know the word journalist has a harsh tone and a harsh taste in people's mouths lately. No one likes that word. No one believes in journalists, but I feel like my job is to bring that word back to life, maybe change it into a different word, but just to bring the facts to people. Lately, I've been hearing no one wants the truth. No one wants to know the truth. It's better to just be blinded what's happening. I do not agree with that whatsoever. I see all these young people fighting for the truth, wanting the truth, and this internship showed me that I have the capability to do that. The fact that I came here and found Dawn and Freddie like on a random day, had no clue they were going to call me, and then they offer me an entire platform. Like, who does that? I would never thought I would have gotten an internship where I had this much freedom. I just felt the Brooklyn Cafe show gave all the interns a lot of freedom. You can put whatever content out you want. You could do it whatever day you want. You can name it whatever you want. You could put whatever music, like whatever we wanted to do, we were able to make it happen. We just had to put the work in. But that all of this is available to us I'm just so grateful that I had to have this for 3 months, that I got to put out a show like consistently, and it just meant a lot to me. Hey, Vinny. And then another thing, the studio. Back at Franklin Pierce University, we also had a studio, but it wasn't anything like this. It was pretty much just one big room for the studio and then the control room attached to it. The control room pretty much just had control of all the cameras, all the audio, the lighting. But in this studio, it's very different. We kind of move the cameras like manually, and we turn on the lights all manually, and it's a different vibe, and I enjoy it because when I was working back at campus, like, I didn't touch a thing. I sat in my anchor's desk and the lights automatically came on with the sliders, the cameras turned on automatically, but here we actually do it all manually, and it's good to learn that things. I don't think if I didn't come here I wouldn't know how to properly take a battery off a camera and take it off the tripod, take the battery off the camera, switch it out. There was no shot I would have learned that in college. So my advice to anyone, whatever career it is, get an internship. Get an internship. I know we don't get paid, but we get paid in experience. And the way I like to look at it, I took my external hard drive every single time I was done with the show, plugged it in, took all my footage, and that was my payment. I have this footage now that I could use for a demo reel in the future or show to potential jobs or anything like that. So get an internship. It is so worth it. I drove an hour from Stewart to here almost every single day, but it was still worth it. And just the amount of knowledge I have leaving is all the money in the world, really, for a student at least. And basically, I have to just move on to what's next. I'm going to be a senior in college. I have one semester where I'm going to be there until Thanksgiving break. Basically, all schools now, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they want students to finish all their classes before Thanksgiving. They don't want to give any extra travel. So what we'd usually do, we'd go through the semester and then we'd have Thanksgiving break. We'd leave, have Thanksgiving break, and come back. So basically what universities want to do is limit that travel so we don't obviously have another outbreak in our tiny little campus. So that's what we used to do, but now I'm considering to come back to Florida during another span of like 2 or so months during Thanksgiving and winter break until pretty much January 1st, which is New Year's. So that's kind of what is on my next. But I honestly don't know if I'm going to be continuing to practice on camera because I don't know if I ever told any of you guys, but I've been a part of my school anchor news since my freshman year of college. And every single week, every single Tuesday at 6 o'clock, we'd go to the studio, we'd have to read over everything, we'd read it out, and then move on to the next week. And someone did sports and someone did news, and sometimes we'd have someone on the side for politics, and that was pretty much it. But once you're a senior, you get to run the whole show. So you're not on camera as much. I have to go out and look for anchors, teach them how to anchor, and pretty much run the show. So you can change different camera shots. You could have different elements. You could put in B-roll. Let's say there's like an event happening and you put in B-roll. But now, because of the pandemic, I don't think any of that's going to happen. I don't think the radio's going to happen. I don't know how they could when we're in such close proximity to each other. And that's why I'm highly considering and coming back here, because I need all the camera time I can get. I need all the practice I can get before I am graduated and on my own, because I don't know what I'm going to do after that. And I wanted my shot my senior year to run the whole show and just see what it's like to be a producer in general, like a genuine producer. And that was honestly my main goal. And then the whole pandemic happened, and now but back to the main point, onto what's next. I am praying that my school doesn't have another outbreak. If it does, I'm going to pack up all my stuff and drive 23 hours back down to Florida after I'm leaving in like 5 days, and I'm going to pack up my car, drive all the way down to New Hampshire. And I just hope to God that we don't have a small outbreak in our campus, because if everyone sees on the news right now, everyone is so confused why students are going back to school. Even high school, middle school, college. They're like, why are we sending everyone back? Like, especially right now. But I go to a private university, which I do love, but there are obviously a fault in everyone's stars. So we're just going to have to see what happens. I don't really know, but I just hope that I get to live out my senior year learning more, and hopefully I get to come back during this fall back to the Brooklyn Cafe show because of how much I've learned here, how much I've grown here. And yeah, I've just really wanted to just give a little advice to anyone out there. You don't have to be a communications major. You don't have to be in college. You don't have to do anything to get an internship. They're free. You work for free. Anyone can do it. And it just broadens your horizon for what you really want in life. And I have to say the Brooklyn Cafe show has definitely done that for me here. It's only been a short, 3 months? Yeah, it's been a short 3 months since I've been here. And honestly, watching it grow every single day, like, they're not just a regular media crew. They have art. They have different artists, actually. They have sculptures. They have multiple different guests coming on with healing products, and just like every single thing that you could ask for, the Brooklyn Cafe has those people on. And they talk about controversy, and they have comedy and music, and they allow these interns to just sit at the table and just do their thing and do what they need to do. And honestly, I'm just so grateful for this opportunity that I've got to make the Weekly Tea with Dina, that I've had this chance to just create a show for myself. I am hoping that I will be able to do this my senior year of college. I get to go back because Freddie and Dawn were talking to me, and they wanted to keep something going, either with BYOB or because I did a couple interviews on BYOB, and that's also where I learned more interviews. And they want me to continue doing it virtually. And if my studio is open, I'm hoping that that's going to happen, but no one knows. And that's the biggest thing right now. No one knows what the next step is. No one knows what's going to happen. And all these unanswered questions, I understand, bothers people. But if we don't just keep moving forward, then what else are we going to do? If you can't move back, you just got to keep going. And maybe I'll just put up my iPhone and have a quick interview or come on the VMix for a show or something. It doesn't hurt. It really doesn't hurt. And my last words is, please just don't give up. Whatever you want to do, the thing I always like to say is no one is going to do it for you. No one is going to have the courage. No one's going to be brave. No one's going to put in the work, the research, none of it. No one will do it for you. If you want the success and you want the difference, you have to do it. So, sadly, I have to say, thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is the last episode of the Weekly Tea with Dina. Obviously, who knows, maybe back in Thanksgiving time during the fall, I'll be back here, and who knows, maybe I'll put up another couple shows, but to be continued. Exactly, Slick. That's the right thing to say. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, for giving me the feedback that I needed. I appreciate it so much, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.